Okay.
Right, good evening. Welcome to tonight's meeting of Bingley Town Council's Finance and General Purposes Committee. We'll start with apologies for absence.
On receipt,
And everybody's here.
Excellent.
Any disclosures of interest?
I've worked at Park, but I'm not a member.
I'm a member of Micklethwaite Village Society.
Yeah.
Well, I won't take
Well,
part
I've donated to Friends of Prince of Wales Park, but it says on the thing if you get a newsletter. Well, I haven't had a newsletter for a bit. I get an email from them every week. So if you want to put me down as a Friends of Prince of Wales Park, that's fine. But I don't feel as though I have any conflict of interest to comment on the.
So you'll take part in
Yes,
the discussion about it.
Okay.
That's good. Okay, noted. Minutes of the meeting on the 11th of October. Those colleagues who were here, are they a reasonable record of what we discussed? I know some colleagues weren't here. I think Philip, I don't think you weren't here, Andrew, were you?
I wasn't here.
No, Steve wasn't here.
Been on the ground.
They look all right to me.
Yeah.
But,
So,
I'll move them.
Yeah.
Proposed Dave Testkine, seconded Councillor Good, so we'll deem that they're an agreed record. Confidential items to be discussed later on in the agenda. We've currently got items to do with the hub. Are there any other items we think which need to be?
There was that email today about the garden services for the allotment.
I'm not sure I've seen that, but yes, I've had.
just had one quote through, the gardener stroke handyman.
Oh, right.
Just one quote come through, so I didn't know whether you wanted to wait till there was more than one quote.
Yeah, I think it'd be. I know we're not at that bit yet, but I think it'd be sensible just to see if we get another couple of quotes,
So we
and then proceed as accordingly.
Okay, well, we'll move on then. Public participation. Now, we have one member of the public present, and I understand you're. Am I right in thinking you're here on behalf of the Friends of Prince of Wales Park?
Yes, I am.
Which we'll leave for the time being. We'll come to that on the next agenda item. But this is the opportunity we give to members of the public, which of course you are the only one, to raise with us any other issues they would like the council to know about, if you wish to do so.
My only concern that regards the park is the planning for the fields which back onto the park and the proposed bridle way stroke cycle track into the park.
Yeah, well, I think I'm right in saying that the council, our planning committee has already recommended rejection of the proposals for outline planning permission. So I think we'll have to see what happens in due course. But thank you, Councillor.
Chair, whilst we've got a rep from Myrtle Park, Friends of Myrtle Park.
no, it's Friends of Prince of
Prince of
Wales
Wales.
Park. Prince of Wales Park.
Sorry.
One know where you live, Steve?
Yeah, I must have had a gravity slip there somewhere. Okay.
Okay, so shall we move on to grants?
Close to no cigar.
To consider the following grant applications. The first one is from the Micklethwaite Village Society. Now, Eve, are we having any representatives from the
Can we
society?
do them in the other order, Jeff?
Oh, well, good. But I just want to check. Are we having anybody coming to speak?
I don't think so. I've actually spoken to Ken Knight and advised him what the city. I asked him a couple of questions. He said he hadn't been invited. Eve says she has invited him, and I said to him that it seemed pretty clear cut to me that it'd go through on the nod, so he won't be attending. Okay, that's the secretary.
Okay, well, obviously, none of our grant applications go through on the nod, and they all have
I
to
said,
have due
no.
consideration. I know
I know
what
what
you're
you're saying. All right, yeah. Okay.
but-
No, they don't go on the other
Yeah,
one. No, I
I think
agree.
it's important to stress that. But I think Councillor Williams' point's reasonable. I think perhaps since we have a representative from the Friends of Prince of Wales Park, perhaps we should we can take that and deal with that immediately.
Blow it for them.
I don't know whether you just want to briefly outline. Obviously, we've seen your documents,
Yes.
but just if you like to briefly outline
Yes.
what it is you're seeking the grant for, not least because this is recorded, so it's good that members of the public can know what we're talking about.
Right, well, I know a few, well, hopefully, most people walk in Prince of Wales Park, but I know some people are more regular than others at doing that. So there are, as you know, it's obviously on the hill, and there's a lot of crisscross paths. And there are two paths that go from what we call the tea room up left and onto the path above, which runs out of the arena. Those are very steep steps up, and people struggle to get up them without, well, you know, there's nothing to cling on to. And so the application is for 4 short handrails of £120 each one, in the style of some already fitted down what we call the Serpentine path, but is the path that comes down quite steeply with it. But they've already been fitted some time ago, and they are okay with the man on the park committee, who is also not on the committee, but works in the park, but he is also the heritage representative for the Bradford Council, and he approved the design of them, and so they're in the same style. So it is really about trying to maintain as much access on as much of the park as possible, because people do tend to zigzag around and you know, really make the most of the park. And certainly, even for us as I'm going round stringing up Santa Claus, snowmen and Easter eggs for trails and things, we're scrambling around trying to reach high, and I'm certainly not as able as I was to negotiate these steps.
Okay, so essentially the Friends are wanting £480 as a contribution towards the total cost of £2,090.
Well,
No, that is not it said.
What
No.
does it say?
No.
Well, basically, I asked him to quote
2,570.
for a longer handrail.
Right.
But in discussion with the other people at the park, we decided that we'll leave the long handrail at the moment and just go for the short handrails.
Yeah.
And I actually asked him to quote for five short handrails, one of which was in the arena. But in discussion, we decided that 4 would be sufficient to go on with. I mean, obviously, in some ways, you could put handrails all over the park and make it a hell of a lot easier for
But
some
just
of
to
us.
clarify, we're talking about £480.
We are talking
Yes,
480.
yes.
Total fund.
Total.
Total funding, no contribution.
Oh,
From Prince of Wales,
yeah.
because they haven't got any money.
It just confused me because it says the full cost of
It
£2,500.
does, but that's for the quote for everything.
Yes, right.
But it does say that we're not asking for the long one. I think it
Yeah.
says, doesn't
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, £480 for the short rails, which sounds good to me.
Move it.
No, I'll second the end.
Yeah.
I'm in favour.
I don't have an issue with it.
Done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you later then.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
I'll sort them out. If there's anything spare, Lyndon, I'll sort them out and get
Obviously,
them.
more than welcome to observe the rest of the meeting, but it's not compulsory.
Undesirable.
Well, I think you'd be very welcome here at this time of night. On a code.
Well, keep up the good work.
And you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Right, Micklethwaite Village Society. So we have to make a decision without any further representation. So the documents are in front of us.
Can I just say
Yeah.
the reason I didn't ring him anything to do with this. He's the secretary who happened to put in this application, but this was to do with the lights that we're having an ongoing process with. But I did ask him, because it's come up in my experience before, about getting permissions. But the reason I asked him, it appeared to be on the highway from the description, and he assures me, along with Philippa, that it's on private land, so it doesn't apply that
It's
the
on
need.
private land adjacent to the
Yeah,
highway.
that it doesn't need that. So I thought, because it was a small contribution as regards the overall project, that's why I probably did say to him it would go through on the nod, but I'd be moving that we give them that money.
So just to clarify, please, Chair. Full cost of £800. Is it then plus 341? So the total cost is 1141. Does anyone know?
What are the full costs of the scheme? £800.
All materials,
It says
and then
£800 for
£300,
materials,
£300.
Yeah.
141, so that would be, yeah. an
1141,
Yeah.
and the 40 hours of labour is not costed.
No.
Okay, and then down at the bottom, the next.
£500 from the council.
Well, then the next thing it says 610 from the society and 500
From the council.
from the council,
Yeah.
That adds up to 1100.
which comes to 1110, which is near enough 1141.
Yeah.
So, am I reading that right?
Yeah.
So the request is for £500.
Straight
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
Agreed.
Wait, just before we move on, I'm conscious that some of the supporting documents there has people's names and addresses in it. We don't make that public, no?
No.
No, not usually. No.
Okay, we move on to 232499 allotments. To receive an update on allotments and agree any actions, including on the following: plot numbering at Beck Lane site. Any news?
We were still in discussion with Menshed regarding their potential assistance. Obviously, once they say they can assist, will assist, this is what it's going to cost. We can then bring a costing back to do it. We're also looking at trying to renumber, because there's some of the sites, 1A, 1B, 1A, 1. It's just a nightmare trying to find stuff.
Excellent idea.
So that is to be done yet, but we actually had a walk round a few weeks ago, and we were maybe thinking of making it into like zones, so that'll be part of it might be zone A, B, C, whatever, and then we've still got a bit of capacity to add numbers as we go around. We alluded to, we've received one quote for basically keeping the non-allotment bits reasonably straight. The first thing that would need to be done will be the many years worth of overgrowth actually knocking back, and then as we had discussed before, regular maintainers. We've got one quote. Can we get Debbie to chase up the others that have expressed interest, and then we can have 2 or 3, 4 quotes come in, and then we can have them here and discuss what we feel as though we're going to do.
Councillor Good.
Yeah, I got the impression that there were going to be some sort of what's the word? Spec. What were required? I see it's actually gone. Debbie's done it, and she's obviously done it to consulted people who's already. I might be able to get you some quotes. That's all.
Basically, we've asked contractors to.
Yeah.
There's the bottom allotment where is that 23? I forget.
Yeah, that-
which we were going to turn into
that's
the
it,
community one,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
actually it's not
No,
economic to do it.
We appreciate that.
There's
Yeah.
quite a lot of growth on
That
there.
just wants
There's
trimming up.
also a lot of growth on the left-hand side of the allotment on that path that you go down.
Yeah.
So first of all, that wants clearing back to all that
Yeah,
bush
yeah,
and
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and then just a general maintenance, which will be maybe a couple of times a year. They go in and strim it and just keep
Yeah. Then there's
all that
obviously
weed and
we've already got some quotes for that, obviously.
with one quote. So
No, sorry, we've got some quotes for the different elements of that.
I presume his
Yeah.
quote's broken down for what he's doing.
It is, yeah.
Email, yeah.
So, what's the procedure then? Would it be to get in touch and then for Debbie to go and show whoever it was to have a look
She's
at it?
done it
or-
already.
Debbie's done sort of a walk round
Yeah,
for
but as I say-
some of the interested parties.
That, as I said, that's it.
If there's more
Do you
interested
need
parties,
any-
I'm sure we can do that.
Yeah.
But I think we need to go back out.
Yeah, it wants.
Do you want to quote or don't you?
Yeah.
Please say yes
That's
or
fine.
no.
Yeah.
And if 3 or 4 quotes come in, fine. If no more quotes come in, then we maybe just need to have a second
Yeah.
round of
Yeah,
advertising.
yeah.
She
Okay.
met 3 people there last week.
All right. Okay.
And we've received 1 quote.
Right, that's
So-
fair. I wasn't aware of that. You see, that's
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm sure, John, if you know some more people, given our ratio of quotes to
Yeah.
people express an
the trouble
interest,
it gets you.
then a few more
Yeah.
will
Well,
go amiss.
I'll see if I can. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure Debbie will just whiz round with
Yeah,
a,
yeah.
a couple of them
Okay.
again.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Rent-
fine. Thank you.
Rent payments and vacant allotments, anything new on that?
We were chasing a couple, weren't we?
All the rents are up to date, apart from the 2 allotments that have just been let. At the moment, we haven't got any vacant now. They've all been let.
Good.
Because number 10 was split, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
So they've both been let. So it's just their rents that we're waiting for now. But apart from that, no vacancies, no rents overdue.
And I must, just as a point of comment, the troublesome mare's tail allotments,
Did a
that
brilliant job.
hats off to the guy. He's done some serious digging.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
serious work. Anyway, move on. Asbestos surveys. Debbie was looking into that. Has she
Yeah,
got any further with that?
She sent further information to one company, so she's awaiting the quote.
Right, awaiting
But
quote.
She's finally heard back from one of the companies.
Okay. And plot 23, that's sort of covered under the handyman gardener thing. I think we previously discussed that it's not cost effective to shift
Yeah,
the
yeah.
communal plot.
that
So it'll be a
sounds sense.
matter of managing that open land.
Yeah.
First of all, we need to get it back to be manageable,
Yeah.
and then put in a system for the, I suppose, communal areas
Yeah.
where we're responsible. That's, there's a,
I think that
a
there's a-
once or
there's-
twice or maybe 3 times a year.
I think there's a quote in there for
There is for the
for 3
maintainers.
visits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll wait till we've got
Yeah. See if there's anything
multiple
else. Yeah.
quotes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Good.
And thanks again to the councillors who are directly involved
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the allotment
absolutely.
work.
You're doing a good
Their
job.
contribution is much appreciated.
And it
Just
worked-
one
it-
more issue as well that Debbie's, because she's been in today, has asked me to bring up about plot 27. You know, the potential leaning wall,
Oh yeah.
and you assessed it and you didn't.
Oh,
think
braid it with a
was.
big hammer, it's as solid as anything.
Well, Debbie's
Was.
suggesting now
Yes.
that because it's the responsibility of Bradford Council, that you can get Bradford Council to come in and assess it.
Right?
Yeah, so she just wanted
Yeah.
the say
It's,
so.
it's, it's just when they turn round and say that our tenants messed with their wall, but
Yeah, there seems no reason why we
Yep,
I think it's a good idea.
yep.
Just before we go, are we planning on having another forum with them, or are we just going to do that one thing?
I think we need one, maybe springtime. The last one, which myself and Andrew and Debbie person handled, went down very well. We seem to have made some inroads into that relationship between allotmenteers and the council. And I don't, personally, I don't think we can just say, well, we're only having one a year suck it and see. And I think if we had one in the spring, we might get highlighted folk that aren't going to turn up because they've given up over winter.
Do you think before the inspections then? Because we were talking
Yes.
about bringing the inspections forward
Yeah,
as well,
yeah,
weren't we?
yeah.
Yeah, before the inspection.
Might just give us a bit of heads up information.
Okay, are we done on allotments?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, 23-24 stroke 100. Bank reconciliation statements, balances and budget monitoring. To consider and approve the bank reconciliations for October 2023. They have been circulated. Has anybody got any questions or issues with them?
No, they are looking harder.
No, that's fine.
Okay. To consider the bank statement, and to me that again looks to me in order, but
Well, they all do, don't
yeah,
they?
and to note that, and we note for the record the bank balances, Eve, don't we?
Yes, so the Unity Bank balance is currently £27,612.87. The public sector deposit fund is unchanged from last month, £243,334.
Thank you, Councillor Good.
Can I make an observation on the what that you just said? Where the investment is?
Public sector deposit fund.
Absolutely. Going forward, when we get the precept,
Yeah.
bang a load of money in there, because this is substantial money that's getting in interest at the moment. It's £1,100 this month, and we missed out a bit. We were going to put 150 in originally. We're going to have to take some out by the look of that if it's down to 27,000 shortly. But going forward, perhaps it'd be an idea when we got the precept to put a load of money in there straight away and get some serious interest.
Yeah, well, I mean, in principle it sounds good, but obviously nearer the time we'll have to
I'm
make that
just
formal,
saying to. Well, I'm
Yeah,
just
it's a
saying.
good point, yeah.
And maybe we need to look at a working balance in the current account, which we have between, and I don't know the figures, I'll pluck about 20 and £27,000, and any additional funding is automatically shifted upwards.
Yeah. Well, I think so.
But that's basically saying we've got nearly 250,000 quid in the bank.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, rate increase.
Okay.
Yeah, but I say we're going to have to take some of that out shortly because if the Unity Trust down to 27 now, we're going to have to take
You're gonna have to move it
50,000
back. It's
out.
like a savings account.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, so-
Isn't it? Yeah.
We've missed a number of months. I mean, at the time the interest rate were low,
Yeah.
but now it's gone up to that, and I saw £1,100 for a month. I thought, well,
Where
might as
did
well
you
be
see
having
that?
some of that, might
It's
we?
not on the.
Pardon?
It's not on that statement. Am I missing something? It's not on that statement.
No, it ain't on Unity. That's Unity Trust, isn't it?
No, the public sector deposit
It's
fund.
at bottom.
725.
No, that's not this one.
Oh.
The most current one is
Yeah, it was
£1,113,
something like
I think
that.
it is.
I looked
Oh,
at it and
that's-
was very surprised it was that high.
728.
728.
But you're right, we should maximise
Yeah.
Yeah.
the monies we have to make the most out of them. And of course with a view eventually to using them for the public good
Yeah,
when
yeah.
necessary.
I'll second that. Yeah.
Right, now the draft budget which Eve is displaying on the screen, of course, just in broad terms, this is the start of the process, and it goes through a few iterations, and this is a budget which has broadly been arrived at by looking at the predicted spends for this year, and looking into next year to see what increased costs and so on there will be, and
Slightly angled.
Yeah.
and in broad terms, I had a look at this, and in
Guys,
broad
okay.
terms we've increased bits for inflation here and there, but in broad terms the actual the ultimate thing, the amount which we'll be getting from the precept is broadly similar to this year, which I think is is good. I
think
think
that's
in this time of cost of living, we don't want to
Not
gild
at
the
all.
lily in any way possible.
No.
But this is the first iteration. So
This is actually slightly different to the one that's sent out because all I've done is
Yeah.
moved all that
Yeah.
SIL money out
Yeah.
that was agreed at the full council meeting.
Yeah.
So that's,
Okay.
that's changed, and that's actually brought it down slightly again, hasn't it? Because
Yeah.
it was originally £28, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, another clarification, please, Clark. At the bottom of the one you sent out, there seems to be a lot of repetition in columns. Have you seen those as errors and removed them all?
Where's
I've got, well, on the one that I've got, if you can see at the bottom, there's loads of other 136,000 in columns that are cut off. If you want to, they're not there. I'm
No.
saying, do you see what I mean, Jeff? If you look on the bottom of that spreadsheet, round those figures, there's a lot of repetition in columns that you can't see.
Well, if this is the latest version, that's.
Well, I'd say if you
becomes
scroll
relevant.
left to find out whether or not that they're still in there, you see what I mean? See those errors at the bottom? Not errors, they're repeated sums. So C, D, E, F. So don't know where those are coming from. That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm not.
Anyone else? Philippa, you're normally hot on these things. Did you see them?
No. No,
On the
I'm
one, not that one. The ones that. You
well, I
want.
printed it off and it's not got
All right, yeah, no, it has got it.
some of the print offs that I've got.
Okay. Well, I wonder where that's coming from then, because that's just a straight.
You're looking at Labour Party one.
Well, possibly. Yeah.
Where did you get it from?
Yeah. Just the attachment.
Do you mean them?
Yeah. All those errors at the bottom there. All those multiple columns, and
Well, they're just background workings, are they?
I don't know. But they certainly didn't
Have you
see.
just have you just expanded all the hidden columns?
Oh,
That's what it might be.
I just hit the open button. I did nothing else.
Yeah,
I
because
bet it's. I
when
bet
we
it's-
actually look at the top, it's quite an extensive spreadsheet with only a certain number of columns.
You've got some columns shut there, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let it be known that in the hidden columns there's a bunch of repetition garbage.
That's the story.
Okay. I'll leave that with you, Eve.
okay, so Eve, do you want to?
Let's go to the top.
We want to go to the top and perhaps give colleagues a chance to question or raise any issues.
Chair, can I just mention that given the plight Bradford are in, will they start to throw more back at us? Because there's only a certain amount of services that they have to provide and other services they can walk away from, like they did with the toilets, for example.
Well, indeed, we don't know.
No,
but it's interesting because we know that Bradford are on the brink of not being able to set a legal budget next year. And at the recent meeting, the leader said that they were going to find they didn't intend to declare themselves. They're not technically bankrupt, but it's. That's what effect would be, and we're going to find some further reductions and efficiencies. Of course, we've no idea where those can come from. Because
They'll bounce back to us, won't they? I mean, parks and recreational grounds and grass cutting and
Well, they're not necessarily bounce back, will they? We might decide to pick some
Yes.
things up, but
Yeah.
they won't.
we won't
hand
be
them
for-
over.
we'll have to decide if
yeah,
and when.
but the,
Well, I answered a conspiracy theory in the week to a neighbour who was thinking that the road closures, i.e. road closed, no traffic lights, was all part of Bradford's control system of 15-minute cities. My take on it,
what up through Micklethwaite?
well, everywhere, there's a lot of them. And my take on it was, it's cheaper for Bradford not to quote for traffic lights. So you might have a confirmation, David. The quote without traffic lights is going to be cheaper than with traffic lights. So to save money, it's easier to close the road for a day and not traffic light it than.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
You're talking temp traffic lights.
I'm talking traffic lights. Is taking the traffic lights out of the equation. It's cheaper for Bradford, and that's why they're doing it. Not a conspiracy theory.
Anyway, let's look at the budget.
Jesus, I don't know.
Remember, we are broadcasting live.
Well,
Jesus, I said, yeah.
it's true. It's true,
Yeah,
and
but
it's your question was, what are they going to throw back? Where are the savings coming from? That's one example of where they might be taking savings from. in road closures.
What am I not?
But
Right,
that's
let's
still
look
only
at the draft expenditure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure there's an awful lot in here which is that controversial, but I don't know how we want to play it. Do people want to ask about different lines?
I want to ask about things that are not on there,
Okay.
which is, given the fact that we need to keep reserves legally for if Bradford does declare bankruptcy, and that figure is 3 to 6 months, and we know that 6 months is approximately 95,000 in running costs if we did nothing and didn't meet and didn't do anything and just kept the staff going, kept the toilets open. It's about 95 grand. We calculated that about 18 months ago or so. But we've got 243,000 in the bank. So does that mean...
That's not reserves though.
No, but it's money in the bank. And we need 95,000 to meet the legal minimum, 3 to 6 months. So given that we have, in theory, 150 grand in the bank, if colleagues, councillors, put forward projects next year that are not on there, i.e. already funding from reserves, would that be legitimate to say, here's a risk and resource, here's a business case, and where the money's coming from, Unity Bank, PDS, Public Sector Deposit Fund, reserve, call it what you like, already funded in the bank and not in the budget?
Well, I suppose there's different things for capital investments, which is slightly different from stuff which is in your effectively revenue budget.
Well, the money is not necessarily declared as capital or revenue, it's just money in the bank.
But I think you might be conflating two things though. We've got money in the bank,
Yeah.
but we're also projecting to spend
Some of it.
150,000
Yeah, but you're
Before
making
the-
it up.
before the end of this year.
Yeah.
So that comes out, it takes away the money in the bank, and then we effectively, as part of the budget, we refill the reserve, we replenish the reserves, but we're not adding to them.
So we'll still end up in May with 243,000 in the bank. No?
No, because we'll have spent it all.
We
won't
spent
we?
it.
But we're going to top it up again with this budget.
Not that, but
But even if we did, we'll need to spend most of it.
Yeah.
if we've got
Throughout the
200,
year.
if we've got
Ongoing running costs,
250 in
Ongoing
the
costs.
thousand in the
150K,
bank,
yeah.
and we spend
In that case, I need to add things to the
150,000,
budget if I want to do things.
100,000 in
Yes.
the bank.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
Which is why Philippa said at the full council meeting, people need to bring any projects before we agree the budget.
Okay.
We haven't got.
In that
we
case,
haven't
Chair,
got that spare.
when you come round to asking for suggestions, my hand will go up.
Well, Councillor Good.
I think at this moment, having looked at that spreadsheet, the best of my ability, and it coming down to the saying that the precept is almost the same as what it is today, I would suggest that this committee took it to full council, and then when we actually finish up by deciding on a final budget, that would be subject to the number of what is it? D, not zone. what do you call it?
It's a number of
That
properties
is divided
which-
to,
yes.
and we could adjust small amounts. There's only one thing that I thought about. We don't have anything at all, and I know David's mentioned this a few times. We don't have anything at all to do with youth. I mean,
from play in the park.
well, no, but that doesn't come in. That is in the youth budget.
Yeah.
And in you, well,
Yeah.
Youth provision.
I'm just, but that could be easily just moved from, to adjust it. My view is that we should not reduce the precept, but
No, leave it as it is.
I think we should maintain around the same figure.
Which it is.
Which it is.
Exactly. That's
Zero-
why I'm.
zero
That's,
rise.
that's why I'd propose that we move forward and just took it to the full council
Well,
and then sort it out afterwards.
yeah.
Zero rise.
Well, I think we should at least invite any
Yeah, absolutely,
comments or
absolutely.
suggestions, because obviously we're not deciding this.
No, but I just
Yeah.
thought you'd done a marvellous job, the four of you.
Councillor Williams.
So we passed as a council the neighbourhood plan into the next stage, and I flagged at the time there was aspirations in it. And I mentioned provocatively Micklethwaite Village Hall, but there were a load of lesser projects in there. And I was taken by this, which I'm sure you've seen before, which is the Bingley Rural Green Travel Project, which is basically a map showing bus routes and cycleways and walkways. I would dearly love to have something like that on our website with a leaflet to show the people of Bingley where our walkways are, which are in the neighbourhood plan, but won't see the light of day without this sort of document. So in doing that, we might also say, well, some of our walkways and cycleways need signage. One of the criticisms from the consultant was that we have bike storage racks in Bingley, but there's no signage pointing to them. Like in Lidl, there's a set of chrome stainless steel bike racks, but there's nothing there to say bike rack. So I'm thinking walking and cycling should be encouraged. Bradford would encourage it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we could do. I'm happy to sponsor this. And I'm thinking something like this is fairly minimal cost.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see something like £5,000 in there, which says walking and cycling project to be identified, risk and resource, business case, and all that to follow. Councillor Williams. As a minimum.
I think the cycle rack you referred to in Lidl, though, it's a private site, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's still an asset we don't even point to, is what I'm saying. So you come in with your bike, you've got no idea. It should at least be on a piece of paper that we can point to it on the website to say, these are the cycle racks.
Wouldn't that
Private, you can't just turn up and then wander off. They might get done for being there, mightn't they?
Well, we could ask Lidl to say, we want to do this. And
I think they're for little patrons only if you read the signage on it.
It does, it will do, yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Like the car park,
they
you
won't
won't
want
have
anybody
time.
turning up, will they?
No, car
one-
parking,
one-
yes, but I don't think they track ANPR with a bike.
One at a time. We've heard Councillor Good.
Would that not be covered by regeneration budget?
Don't know. Would you say
I
so?
think it would be.
Yes, it would, yeah.
Or I think it should be.
Yes, yeah.
If there's enough funds in it.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Okay,
think
well,
Well, it's always underspent. That's all, Steve.
Yeah,
It's always
I think
underspent.
the theme is
and
a sensible
I think
one.
it's a good idea.
and-
I'd support it.
You can help, John.
I mean, if you can help John.
Because we struggle over the years to spend our regeneration budget, and often it ends up getting wired into other
Yeah.
lines
Yeah, absolutely,
to
yeah.
be used.
Yeah.
So I see no reason
Okay.
why, Councillor Williams, if you want to look
I do.
into that,
think
that's
you
something
should.
which could be taken into account.
So there was also one about working with the schools, Beckford, Bingley Grammar, Gilstead, to improve the biodiversity in areas of the school site. Now I'm thinking that's probably covered within the green and clean budget of bulbs and seeds and chucking a bit of seeds around, and that would be a project that we could bring forward next year as well. So I just went through it thinking, well, what's easily done? There's also one about identifying preferred locations for electric vehicle charging points, but personally think that electric vehicles are probably doomed. So
I don't want any fires.
yeah.
Got a car park in Oxford.
Yeah. So yeah, I just went through it looking for the cheap and cheerfuls.
But to something about greening up school sites, with a different hat on, and many moons ago there was an amount in a budget which actually encouraged schools to have some fruit trees planted on site in the hope that it might do. There's some nice fruit trees, but as to the actual usage of them, maybe didn't go well. But actually trying to enhance what can be quite stark sites, bring a bit of nature into it, I wouldn't have a problem.
I know it's a bit of an aside, is this, David, but we did try, Edwina tried, to get councillors, etc., to find areas to plant trees, and it sort of fell on
It did.
stony ground. To
And
be
of course,
fair.
we also had incredible edibles, didn't we?
Well, we still
Which
have.
is similar.
No, we have.
Yeah,
We have
still there.
we have incredible edibles both at the station and locally through the WI and the Action Station. Yeah. I don't know how they are used, but I don't know how well they're used.
So I think these are all sorts of things which could be
They're in
picked
the
up under
budget.
clean and green.
Yeah, yeah,
Clean
yeah.
and green
Yeah,
regime.
yeah, good.
Okay. Any other comments on particular? And obviously some of this can be rerun when we have
Absolutely.
the council meeting. Any particular questions about anything which is on this document?
Are we happy with the neighbourhood plan budget, Philippa?
We've reduced it, but that's because we're just
Yeah, we're cruising at the moment.
and
Yeah.
I was just trying to work out what we'd pay our consultant for the consultation aspect, because that's really
That's what hits it.
the spend, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Any other comments?
No.
So shall we propose, or say that
Recommend it to the full council.
recommend that this goes to the full council
Yeah, yeah.
and further details can be. Councillor Good?
I'm
You're proposing it?
Yes.
I'll second it.
Seconded, okay, and we're all in favour, I trust, yeah. So that is agreed. It seems to me that the budget round this year is unlikely to be one of those controversial ones which we've had in the past, which is all for the better. Website to receive, is there any further news on the new website? And
Well, I think, Chair, with my illness, the meeting hasn't gone forward, and I think now I'm back, we
need
should
to
ask
get
Debbie
another
to reschedule it. I was impressed with one of the inputs.
She has actually received a couple of quotes from two.
Yeah, two of them, but
Yeah.
not the one we wanted, or not the one we expected didn't. If you see what I mean,
No,
without
two-
naming names,
I'm not sure that's unexpected given what we're
proposing.
asking for.
Yeah, okay, then that's fine.
okay,
So,
so that's
Meeting
ongoing.
meeting
Ongoing.
TB arranged.
Okay, clean and green.
Green and
Councillor
clean.
Good.
Green and clean. Yeah. Okay. So all the plants have been received from Bradford Council and have been distributed. I've spoken to Mel Smith yesterday because Nicola were asking if we'd got a new if there was a new contract. Mel Smith's in charge of the plants, etc. He spoken to him yesterday. He just put out for a new tender because, as you know, the other contractor stopped trading. He don't know what the prices are, but he'll let us know when he receives the response from the tenders. New tenant, right? Groups, I'm going to wait until we find out what the. I've asked him also to send us a list of available plants that he's put out for tender, and then we need to ask Debbie to circulate our groups to say that we'd like a summer bedding ordering by the beginning of December. We've got a little pick on Sunday prior to the Cenotaph Remembrance Day parade. So that's 8 o'clock and a couple of hours. It's mainly we usually just try to pick up leaves so it just looks nice round the arts centre, etc. And then probably do a bit of litter picking round the course of the parade. I think that covers it for now. I'll look into doing a new list for litter picks for 2024 as I do, and I think that's it for now, Chair.
Yeah. Just on the littering and so on and leaves and things. Can I just comment? I think we may have mentioned it in previous meetings. The so-called Bingley ambassador, Count Chris,
Yes.
who is employed by the council, but actually looks after the centre of Bingley, and does a splendid job, I have to say. I think it's great news that he was given an award by Bradford Council for service excellence in their Service Excellence Awards, and I think he's a credit to the role because he's so committed and takes real personal responsibility for getting stuff done, and he takes real pride in seeing parts of the centre of Bingley kept as tidy as he can, and I think that I just think if we haven't already done so, we should note that and perhaps record in the minutes our appreciation for the work.
I've just one more thing to say. We keep getting on about these green and clean champions that we have. We signed another 4 up recently. They are doing a marvellous job of in the last 10 days. I've seen a couple that live fairly close to me doing in Cottingley New Road, and then I passed some on my street, a lady who lives on Airview Avenue, stopped. I said to her, "Are you one of mine?" Because she says, "Yes, this is my mother. She's just come to live up here," and they were picking on the drive in Cottingley. There's people working all the time, and I think we do keep flagging it up and noting it on various newsletters, etc.
Well, you do. I mean, I see when I'm driving around people with litter picking.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's just when we do have the litter picks, we probably highlight where it's got in among trees and things, round Lidl and what they call the other supermarket, Aldi, etc. It gets in these places, and we keep up to it very well, I think. Okay,
right.
There was an idea floated to actually present a certificate to some of these community unsung heroes, and we maybe need to get back on track. Sort of taking off from the hero singings that you got one for it, Shipley.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe something that we need to go back to.
I'm thinking only that
to actually present these
thinking,
unsung heroes.
I was thinking Andrew brought it.
It did. I was just thinking we haven't got any, we had the suggestion, but we haven't got any farther forward, so perhaps we could make some inquiries about that.
And so I'm saying, I'm sure Debbie could come up with some nice looking certificate.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
So I think if we note that's something we might want to look into re-look into moving forward.
Yeah.
23-24. Any further update on SIL funding?
We've allocated it all, haven't we?
Councillor Williams.
You'd have all seen the email from Councillor Forrest about SIL. Is there any substance to his claim that we've been underfunded by Bradford to tune of about 58 grand? The way I read that, what I think he's done is he's gone through the planning permissions and looked at the SIL formula and said, based on the planning permissions,
I see,
this is what SIL we should have had. What he hasn't been able to do is to figure out what's been built and what's not been built.
When the project's complete.
So I think that's kind of the error in the maths.
But there's another thing, isn't there, David? Everybody don't, and Jeff, of course, being a district council. Not everybody gets it, and it doesn't apply to every contract either.
No.
So you can't.
So we trust Bradford basically.
We've got no choice.
There's no choice basically.
Well, no,
at the end of the day, there's the ones that collect it.
And we just get 15.
He's looking to do an audit, David.
What? Not being funny, let him crack on. But the thing we are working towards, and we are getting closer and closer, inextricably closer and closer to that amount going up, which Bradford will, or was it 25%?
Yeah.
Hopefully we get the hours in neighbourhood plan in place, so we can benefit from some of that before they decide to change the formula.
Yeah, Philippa was flagging that the government are talking about changing the formula again.
It just gives us an impetus to try and keep neighbourhood working.
Okay. I thought I'd mention it while we were on the agenda point.
Okay, 23-24, 104, risk management to identify any new unacceptable levels of risk to the town council, and if we do, amend the risk register accordingly. Are we aware of any new significant risks? I'll take that as a no.
No.
Date of next meeting then is scheduled for Wednesday the 13th of December, this venue. Now if we exclude members of the press and public, to resolve that members of the press and public be excluded from any items under the provision of the Public Bodies Admissions to Meetings Act 1960 during consideration of items of a confidential nature, so the camera will have to be turned off.
Opposed?
Second.
All agreed.